It is time once again for the weekly wrap up. These are stories that I collect throughout the week that I did not do a full video on, but are still worth covering. So let's get to it here. First, this story. Progressives want to put Medicare for all back on the table. So, led by Cori Bush and Karen Maloney, Congress is holding the first hearing since 2019 to examine paths to universal health care. Now, will this lead to Medicare for all under Joe Biden? No. That said, it's, I think, good policy, good politics to keep this issue within the minds of voters, to keep this going, not just, discuss this every 4 years during an election, but actually keep this going as an important policy issue. Looking at polling, the majority of voters already support it. So it's really just highlighting the absurdity that this already isn't in place. So, look, this is not going to lead to Medicare for all under Joe Biden. Democrats just don't have the numbers in the Senate to do it. That said, I think it's important to keep this issue alive. Next here, so Jordan Ewell tweeted this out, and this is just amazing, but not surprising. So, starting with this is a story in 4 parts here. Nancy Pelosi in 2020 saying, just generally, I usually always cast my vote for a woman. I just do. Jessica Cisneros takes on the last anti-abortion U.S. House Democrat. Yes, Cisneros running for a second time against Henry Cuellar, dubbed Trump's favorite Democrat. I'll get to more on that in a minute here. But Henry Cuellar, incredibly conservative Democrat in a safe blue district. Jessica Cisneros challenging him again. Fantastic candidate here in Cisneros. Henry Cuellar, Jessica Cisneros head to runoff for South Texas congressional seat. So now it's down to these two. There was already the first primary, but now it's down to the runoff. Both of them facing off against each other. So it's one or the other. Nancy Pelosi affirms support for Henry Cuellar after FBI raid, which I forgot to mention. Even apart from everything else, he was raided by the FBI. Primary runoff birth. So this is, and U.S. House Speaker said during a stop Wednesday in Austin that she always supports her incumbents from right to left. Oh, do you? Pelosi endorses Kennedy over Markey in contentious primary. Kennedy was challenging Markey for his Senate seat. So you did not support the incumbent. You supported the challenger to the incumbent. Nancy Pelosi, and even putting aside, first of all, yes, she's lying here, but that isn't even the most important part. The most important part is that she is backing an anti-choice Democrat, Trump's favorite Democrat. Cisneros has branded him Trump's favorite Democrat because he voted with Donald Trump nearly 70% of the time. Much of the outside support pouring into this contentious race has been for Cuellar, who received, so this is from the last race, but $40,000 he received from conservative Koch brothers Political Action Committee and major support from pharmaceutical companies. So, yeah, this is why Pelosi supports him, because he is a corporate Democrat. He is a true conservative Democrat, not even just on economic issues, but also on social issues, on issues of abortion. Absolutely insane. So, various lies, of course, within Pelosi here. Always cast my vote for a woman. What insanity. This speaker, she cannot run again. I mean, I think she already announced that she will, but she has to be challenged. She's had her time. It's time to go, Pelosi. Next up here, this is from Canada. Great little story here. I learned today that the Liberal-NDP agreements, which I talked about earlier in the week, they have a confidence and supply agreement, meaning the NDP will support the Liberals up until the next election, up until 2025. So anyways, there's more to it. I have to go over the entire thing to really explain it. So watch my other video for a full explanation here. But this is the birth of why this agreement happened. So the agreement was mostly worked out by Trudeau and Singh themselves in regular conversations that began with a congratulatory call for the birth of Singh's child and picked up steam during the occupation of Ottawa. So, the trucker convoy. Their whole aim was to, their aim was all disjointed and all over the place, but eventually, when they actually had a clear goal, it was to get Trudeau out of power. Well, now he is going to be in power for more years than he would have been otherwise, thanks in part to this convoy. So not only did the Conservatives lose their leader and get replaced by somebody else, at least an interim leader for now, which, to be fair, I'm sure many in the convoy actually support, because the former leader was maybe a little too progressive, even though he wasn't, but for them, maybe a little too progressive. But it's just amazing here to see the convoy is, part of the reason why this agreement came to pass. Now, a little more here. So Northern Affairs Minister Dan Vandal said the convoy was a catalyst in the sense that it made clear that the Liberals and the NDP were the adults in the room and could and should find a way to work together. And just a little more on this incredible topic. Bothered Boy here tweeted this out, showing the Toronto Sun front page after this agreement, calling it undemocratic, a sneaky, undemocratic Liberal NDP deal. This is how Parliament operates. It's not undemocratic. Confidence and supply agreements are normal. They happen. Maybe not all that common, at least in federal politics, but they happen. They are part of a parliamentary system. Calling this undemocratic is just straight up lying to people to make them angry. And I think I have a last one on this from Stephen Marr, saying the Conservatives are, so this is actually maybe a side benefit to Conservative lawmakers, maybe not Conservative voters, but lawmakers. The Conservatives are deploring this arrangement, as they are duty-bound to do, but I would be very surprised if most of them are not privately pleased. They can settle into their jobs, get on with their rebuild without the possibility of an election. So for actual Conservative lawmakers behind the scenes, I guarantee you most of them are happy. They get to keep their jobs till 2025. No threat of an election. They get to focus on what they want to focus on rebuilding the party, focus on getting a new leader in there. So ultimately, it may actually help them going into the election in 2025, even if they're not going to have, or be in power for those years. Last story here. Breaking. Congress just reintroduced a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. This is huge. Now, I don't know. I tend to think this is not going to actually be overturned. Just to be clear here, in 2010, the Supreme Court ruled in Citizens United v. Federal Election Commission that corporations and special interest groups could spend nearly unlimited funds on election campaigns. In the decade since, outside groups spent more than $4.4 billion in federal elections, nearly $1 billion of which was untraceable, quote, dark money, with some of the biggest contributors coming from Wall Street, the pharmaceutical industry, and the NRA. So, Adam Schiff has reintroduced this. What's going to be the result of this? I don't know. This is one we're going to have to, wait and see where this goes. But there you go. An abrupt end to your weekly wrap-up.